Okay, so the agenda for this afternoon is as follows. We are going to briefly touch on the um, Cluster Professional Learning offer that has run throughout this year and will be offering again next year. So if there's any clusters looking at developing digital as a cluster next year, highly recommended project for you to go through. I'm going to share some updates from the Hub team around professional learning offers that they've got on, particularly around DigiFest and also around some of the resources that have been made available via the Hub platform. We then have two presentations this afternoon. The first from Sangeet at Wise Kids. She'll be presenting on some of the things that she has to offer you as schools around digital citizenship and the well-being of learners in the online space. And then finally, Simon Hall from GTech will be joining us to take us through some of the updates in Google Classroom, talk to us a little bit around the teaching and learning license, and also some of the AI features that have recently been shared by Google, I think as recent as Friday just gone. So lots to get through today. Really excited about the content from Wise Kids and Google later on. But you do have me to just take you through a few updates before we get to Wise Kids slightly later today. So, in terms of cluster professional learning, this is something that we have offered as part of the professional learning offer this academic year. We've had 4 clusters engage in this project, and the feedback that we've had from those 4 clusters, we have some of them with us this afternoon, has been really, really positive in terms of developing that shared understanding of progression in digital skills across the curriculum, but also supporting all stakeholders in the school with developing skills and confidence and knowledge when using a range of digital technologies. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes to talk you through what this program is all about. And it might be for you then as leads to go back to your heads or your cluster to kind of suggest this if you think this is something that might be beneficial to you moving forward. So the Cluster PL program is broken down into essentially 7 sessions, and there is an additional sort of 8th session that runs alongside that as well. Now, the basic structure for the program starts off with working with the digital leads and the senior leads from across the school. We then support teachers across each progression step to really unpick the DCF to understand what that looks like at each progression step and how we can apply that within the curriculum. Further on in the programme then, we look at sort of transition from primary through to secondary and ensuring that we have an effective flow really of skills going from the primary up to the high school. And then the 7th session, which is later on in the programme, is basically an impact capture session where we take some time to really unpick what has worked well as part of the programme and what things and how that has really impacted on teachers' confidence, organisational culture, digital vision and strategy within your schools, and also then what that actually means for learners on the whole. So to take you through then each session, and sorry, just before I go to do that, you can see there on the right hand side, we also offer then a whole day inset for the TAs across the cluster, where they'll engage in a number of different workshops to upskill themselves in terms of those digital skills that they might be using in the classroom, and to give them that confidence to be able to support teaching and learning as well. So to take you through then each session, session 1 essentially looks like this, where we get the digital leads and the senior leads from the schools together. And in that time, we really unpick what's going well in each of those schools and really thinking about what do you do well as a school, what things do you need to develop, and how could you develop that as a cluster, and how can you support each other as a cluster as well. We then take the opportunity to sort of review each of your digital visions and highlight what things really resonate between you all across your visions. And from that, then we start to structure and create a cluster vision and a cluster strategy for developing digital skills and digital competence. And really, really important here that all the primary schools and the secondary schools have input onto this, so you're all singing from the same hymn sheet. From there, then, sessions 2, 3, and 4 are pretty much identical in what they do. But what we do is we take each progression step on each day and we get together to really unpick what does that mean? What does digital competence really mean at each progression step? So as an example, from across the cluster, you'd send as many of your progression step 1 teachers, so your nursery reception teachers, to the same venue, the same school, and we spend the day then unpicking what the DCF really say for us at progression step 1. We also then, on that day, take the opportunity to look at the range of tools that are available to us, be that via the Hub platform, on the Chromebook or the iPad, and really then get to grips with what does effective planning for digital competence look like. So at the end of the day, you as a cluster have a real understanding of what digital competence progression step 1 looks like, and some tools that you can go away with to work on as well. We replicate that process then for progression step 2 and progression step 3, so that over 3 days, each teacher in your school, if they all attend, has had the same professional learning experience and also the same opportunity to unpick the DCF. Now, doing that for secondaries is quite challenging. So the offer for secondaries is quite flexible, but what has worked in other clusters is a 1-day inset session. So one of your inset days, working with teachers from across the school, perhaps not all at the same time, broken down into sort of 1.5 or 2-hour slots, where we work with your staff to do the similar sort of thing to the progression step 1, 2 and 3 skills. So they really understand then what is being expected of them progression step 4 and 5, whilst also getting that confidence and those skills to use the tools that are available to them to deliver that within the curriculum. Session 6 then focuses on transition. And we had a really fantastic session actually the other day with the Cross Acadial cluster, where we came up with some transition projects and transition ideas, so that we can again get that seamless move from year 6 to year 7. We spoke about the required skills, sort of that basic skill level that's going to be needed when using Google tools as an example. And then we also discussed then creating a cluster-wide sort of digital portfolio that learners contribute to demonstrate their kind of holistic, that's the word I'm looking for, holistic approach to digital skill development across their time in school. Finally then, session 7, which is further on down the line. So we tend to do those first 5 or 6 sessions in a short space of time. And then about a term later, we get back together and we unpick then, what has the impact of that project been? How does that now translate in the classroom? And a case study then will be written by myself to showcase the work that your cluster has done. Just to touch on then the TA session, which I kind of mentioned in the structure there. This is really important to ensure that all of the stakeholders in your school have access to that digital skill development. And this is essentially a whole day inset where they go through 5 different workshops focusing on things such as Hub Access, Britannica, Adobe, Google or Microsoft, depending on what your cluster's approach is, using iPads to do things like green screening and iMovie. So they really get that opportunity to be immersed in digital technology for the whole day. Where this has worked really well is that all teaching assistants attend one school on a cluster inset day, and that's then facilitated by myself and also then the EAS partner schools on that day. If the full cluster inset doesn't work and there's scope or there's flexibility, I've also provided sort of twilight sessions to teaching assistants across schools in a cluster as well, so that they are supported too. So that in a nutshell is the cluster programme. As I said, we've had 4 clusters that have gone through that this year. The feedback for that has been really positive. So if you are interested in engaging in the cluster programme, I can happily share the presentation with you. I've got a condensed version of the presentation to share with you, to basically share with your head teacher if you'd like to, or your cluster leads, and then you are welcome to get in contact with me to find out a little bit more about that. But if there's any questions now, I'm happy to take them in the chat, but I can also catch up with you following the session as well if you would like to do so. So just a reminder, the EAS Supporting Our Schools website is a really valuable resource in what can be used to develop digital skills in your school. On the Supporting Our Schools website, we do have all of our previous network meetings available. We also have some videos around the use of AI in schools and some videos as well around digitally inclusive tools using things such as Immersive Reader to support all teaching and learning in the classroom. We also have the links to the progression map site as well, which has been developed by the cross-regional partners. And since I last met with you and shared this with you, we have added now 3 further progression maps on presentations, image creation or manipulation, and the use of geographical information systems, things such as Digimaps, available too. So a really valuable resource. Again, lots of positive feedback on how these are supporting teaching and learning in your schools as well. Okay, in terms of some Hub updates, lots of you may have seen in the digital network space that Hub are running a DigiFest session. This is going to take place on the first Monday back after the summer holidays. And the idea being that if your school are focusing on digital technology as part of your school development priorities for the next academic year, this is a full day inset with multiple different presenters sharing information on how to use their tools, the resources they have available to you as schools as well. I think over the day, there's about 8 sessions. And I think there's about 7 or 8 presenters for each of those sessions. So there's going to be around about 50 different things that your school can attend on that day. If you are able to sign up and drop in and out, then you can do so using the blue link at the top of the screen. But similarly, if you can't attend, my understanding is that all of the videos will be recorded and will be made available to schools then following the DigiFest as well. But a really nice, exciting opportunity, an innovative way to maybe get lots of different staff trained in different areas within your schools. If you have any further questions on that, please do drop them to me in an email or in the team, and I can clarify some of those things with Kelly and the Hub team as well. Off the back of that, I've shared this before, but Hub have started a digital community, so a team space that you can join. In this team space, again, lots of opportunities to hear from the different partners that Hub have, but also for you as practitioners to share examples of good practice as well, and to use that as kind of a learning community for you. So if you'd like to sign up to that, you can click on the blue link there, but also in the stream, in the team space, you'll also see the link to it right there. Hub Presents events, 2 remaining for this year. 10th of June, Adobe and Adobe Express, and the 24th of June, J2E will be talking about the J2 Code platform and how that can be used in schools. Again, you'll be able to click on the register here links right now, or you can access the presentation following today. Similarly, we have some live lessons being presented by the Flip team. So if you're looking at developing your understanding of Flipgrid in the classroom, you'll be able to join that session and also gain your level 1 Flip certification following the end of that session. Adobe are running, again, as always, lots of live lessons that can be seen on the screen here. Some of these have passed, but there's lots of professional development opportunities coming up in terms of the ACE Level 1 and ACE Level 2 training. They've also released a number of website resources on YouTube with lesson packs available around these different topics. Some of these might be useful for you in your summer term. And they've also released some sessions for earlier learners around using some of the paint tools in Express Drawing as well. So lots and lots of stuff available from Adobe. Highly recommend jumping on some of those sessions if you haven't yet done so. And then the final Hub update, hot off the press, this has been shared with us today, is there's an update on how to reset the dreaded MFA in your school. Just to remind schools that if you are not on a trusted network, so that will be basically your school is a trusted network. If you're outside of your school, you will need to use multi-factor authentication to log into Hub. This may be particularly challenging for your governors if they're trying to access outside of school. This news article here takes you through, as a digital champion, how you can reset MFA on a device if they've moved from one phone to another, or if they're having challenges. And there's also a link there in the video on how to set up MFA then for those people who are trying to do so. What they do need to remember is if somebody is trying to set up MFA, they will need to do that from within your school's trusted network. So they won't be able to go home and set it up. It would need to be done within school. And they can only use the Microsoft Authenticator app to log into MFA from outside of school. So they are the hub updates, the support in our school updates, and also the cluster professional learning updates. That's enough from me talking. We're going to get on to our presentations now this afternoon. First up this afternoon, we have a presentation from Dr. Sangeet from Wise Kids. So Sangeet, I'm hoping you are all ready to go in terms of you've got presenter rights. You should be able to share your screen. So I will just come out of sharing mine now. Just to say a huge welcome to Sangeet this afternoon. Really excited to hear everything that she has to offer in the space of digital citizenship and online safety and well-being for our learners. So Sangeet, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sean, and a pleasure to be here. So hello, everyone. So my name's Sangeet. I come from an organization called Wise Kids that I set up, gosh, almost 20 years, over 20 years ago. And the work of Wise Kids is really focused on education for the digital age. So we work with schools, we work with youth organizations, with children's services, and the focus is on education, particularly education that supports our young people, not just to keep safe, but to also be engaged, effective participants online, because we're very much taking the long view that technology is here to stay, and technology used well can be really beneficial. And a lot of our work focuses on engaging learners to be critical thinkers, to look at their values and behaviors, to look at how they make sense of content online, whether that's influencer culture, whether that is, contact from people they don't know, whether it is entertainment. And the digital world, in many ways, is just the world today. And so our work really focuses on understanding that for young people. We also have work with teachers. So we do inset days, professional learning days, to look at how schools can develop teachers' own confidence and knowledge to lead digital citizenship for their pupils. So in other words, how can a school create a culture where young people are critical thinkers, where there are positive values and behaviors? And these are key because they're not just things we need to do on Safer Internet Day or Anti-Bullying Week, but a culture that nurtures critical thinking and pupil well-being online and offline will increase all sorts of benefits for learners. So I want to share my slides. I have a few slides, but I think I'll leave my contact details after, with the view of hopefully giving you some insights, and maybe if you're interested, to send me an email and I can send you more information on our flyers. Thank you, Sean. So when we talk about the work of Wise Kids, really there are three strands: promoting digital literacy, promoting digital citizenship, and well-being for a connected world. What that means is, if we start with digital literacy, it's all the knowledge and skills we need to be able to use online technologies positively, safely, and gain benefit from them. That includes understanding influences online, content online, fake news, and how to detect that, how to evaluate content. Because it's very much not just about keeping safe, but also having a voice online. And our work is really focused on young people's sense of agency. So that takes us to digital citizenship, which is really about nurturing young people's confidence and leadership so that they understand that there are responsibilities with the online space, how they act, their behavior, their values, but also engaging them to think about their digital presence and how they could use that for benefit. So we talk about the footprint in terms of future jobs, and that's really another key part of young people's digital citizenship. And then we also talk about and promote well-being, because well-being is connected to so many things online. Because young people are consuming content, because they're interacting, the online space is incredibly important for young people's well-being. So looking critically at this, helping them to develop their self-awareness so that they are better aware of choices they're making online, of their actions, and being kind online. These are all key aspects of well-being. And we also have mindfulness-based programs for schools, but happy to talk about that separately. So the big why we do this is really because this digital world today is embedded everywhere and it is shaping our lives. And our starting point is always, what does a child understand about that digital world? And particularly in primary, where children are beginning to go on devices and have screen time, having that big overview of the digital world is so important, because so often a child only knows what they know, which may be YouTube Kids, it may be a game that they're playing. And so part of our program looks at how we develop literacy. And one of the things we talk about, for example, is just like we equip children to go to town, learn to cross the road safely in the physical world, there are concepts and ideas we can use to develop young people's understanding of the vastness of the online space, the many people in it, the interactions in it, everything from commercial content and advertising to things like fake news, to things like entertainment that they're sort of consuming, but within that, the filter bubble effect, how their content is delivered to them. So things like how algorithms work. And these are really important parts of the digital world, because so often a child is just a consumer until we can get them to think more deeply. And certainly by the time they're teenagers, we want them to be prepared to be creators, but creators who are conscious of their voice and footprint. And that's because underpinning all of these technologies is the system of the internet, which is global, connecting different countries, political systems, cultures, values, and it can present a lot of danger. To being scammed, to being bullied online. These are still issues that young people talk to us about. But we also know the vast benefits the internet provides. And for me, that's key, that we also want young people to actually take advantage of the benefits online. So all our programs focus on that balanced aspect, that we're empowering young people for that digital now and future. So some of the things we talked about, things like fake news, misinformation, the fact that now we have new AI developments, which, I heard Sean allude to just now, and I know Sean's doing some great work in that space. So we talk about this from a young person's perspective, because it's so important today, because there are tools like ChatGPT and other tools to create content. It's important that young people recognize the biases in this, that they recognize that the limitations of AI, and there are many limitations to AI too. I thought one thing to tell you a little story to illustrate some of the challenges when talking to young people about some of the online safety risks. So I want to move a little bit away from AI just to tell you this story. And it's a true story of three girls, and it's really a story of exploitation, but it centers on healthy relationships. So these three young girls, 11 years old, were all on a sleepover, and they were using Instagram. And one of the girls had somebody on her Instagram who shouldn't have been there. And this, was perfectly innocent evening. They were uploading photos. And this girl who had this follower was the one uploading the photos, and she tagged her friends in it. And within 24 hours of her tagging her friends in that Instagram post, this older man proceeded to send a message to all three girls with a threat. And the threat was, unless you send me a nude picture, I am going to come to your home. I know where you live. I'm going to harm your parents. Now, in this example, which is a very on one level, very scary example, I want to show you the responses of the three children. And one of the three children blocked him. Another of the children actually proceeded to send a nude because she was that afraid of the threat. She couldn't make sense of it. She couldn't assess that risk. But the third child had my favorite response. She turned on him. She said, "How dare you? You're a pervert. I'm going to actually report you to my parents." And she told her parents about it, and her parents reported it to the police, and that man is under investigation. The reason I tell this story is, number one, we need to get children to recognize risks. And so a lot of our work focuses on tools and stories we can use to help children make sense of the risks. We've got to be age appropriate. That's the other aspect of our work, because if a child of 11 is being threatened or might encounter the issue of someone wanting a nude, then they need to know by that age that actually that's not okay. They need to know by that age that everything around healthy relationships, about body autonomy and safe touch, about what is okay and not okay, what is blackmail, how to deal with these things. And we need them to be confident to tell their teachers and their parents about this, which is really about developing their overall sense of well-being and confidence. So I highlight this story because so often parents and professionals, we tend to focus on the technology as the threat. But what makes children vulnerable is exposure, engagement they're not prepared for. And that's really the focus of our work, thinking about how schools can address these different challenges, but also address positive internet use. So I just wanted to highlight those things and also talk about our digital citizenship model, which is a one-year model that we have, that we talk to schools about, around building both critical thinking for the digital age, around digital technologies, but also life skills and the whole, the sort of individual qualities of character, sense of agency and well-being. And to work with schools to help them look at how they can develop this in a drip feed way throughout the year. So we know this is important through the school's DCF. We know this links to the new curriculum around health and well-being areas of learning. And if you look at the science and technologies areas of learning, you've also got the whole influence of AI, algorithms, how they work in there. We also do work through the Arts Council. So we've done some lead creative school work where we've engaged with longer periods, longer projects like 10-week projects to help develop digital citizenship in a school, working with their pupils. So I'm happy to send you through a copy of these slides. But just to finish up on our actual programs, we do inset training days, we do pupil workshops, and we've also got now a freely available webinar for parents that we developed. This was through the Gwent Regional Partnership, and it's now just been finalized about 2 weeks ago. And there's a free video and series of 10 frequently asked questions for parents. So again, if any of you are interested, what I'd like you to do is take my email address, and I'll put this in the chat. I'm mindful of time, so am I able to add anything to the chat there at all, Sean? Do you know? I'm not sure I can see the chat, Sean. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry. I've just popped
okay.
your email in the chat now for everybody if they want to get in contact.
Ah, that's great. Okay, yeah. So if you could drop me an email and I can send you a copy of all our flyers and any more information that you want. Happy to take questions.
Does anyone have any questions this afternoon? We tend to be quite a quiet bunch, so I'm going to... No?
It's okay. But feel free to email me and I will be happy to send through more information. So you've put my email in the chat, yeah?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
No problem. Just say a huge thank you for that, Sangeet, and thank you for sharing the work that you're doing across the region and across Wales as well. So thank you so much. If anyone does have any questions and they'd like to send them to Sangeet, email address is in the chat bar, or if you'd like to pass them on to me, I can also pass them on as well. So diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
I'll catch
Sean.
up with you again soon. Thank you.
All right. Cheers. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, so that leads me on to Simon from GTech, who is here to share with us lots of really exciting updates to Google Classroom. I believe the teaching and learning licenses as well. Lots. I'm not going to take it all away from you, Simon, because I know you've got lots to share. But thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I'm really excited to hear about the power of Google Classroom, and I know there was an update on Friday, I believe, around the use of Gemini in the workspace as well. So anyway, I'm not going to say any more. That's all your bag. I'll pass it over to you. Matt, I'll put the PL code in the chat for you now.
Well, lovely to see you all, and thanks, Sean, for the opportunity to come and speak. As Sean mentions, my name is Simon Hull from GTech. We're Google's largest education partner in the UK. We've been proud to be seeing Welsh local authorities, the consortia, and also Welsh schools over about the last 5 years in conjunction with Hub and Welsh Government. So as Sean says, we're going to show you some of the latest and greatest features that are available in Google Classroom, and we're going to particularly focus around those ones that are available by something called the Teaching and Learning Upgrade, which is available to be ordered via your local authorities in the next ordering windows that come via the EdTech program. So I will share my screen, and there we are. No, there it is there. Sorry, I'm a Teams newbie. I'm used to Google Meet, so if I'm a bit slow navigating, just forgive me. There we go.
You're taking you out of your comfort zone today, Simon. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I have to step over to the dark side occasionally, like today. So no problem. So hopefully you can see my Google Classroom, shared my screen. So I'm going to show you some of the cool things that are available, as we said, particularly within the Teaching and Learning Upgrade. So here's a normal Google Classroom. You'll also see some extra things that I've got on here as well, but we won't dwell on those because I don't think they're available to you at this moment in time. So we'll have a look at some of the things that that definitely are available via the Teaching and Learning Upgrade. So the first thing is a tool called Practice Sets. I'd ask if anyone's heard of Practice Sets, but Sean's already said that you're a quiet bunch. So I'll assume no, or if you haven't, then or if you already have, then we'll have a little demo on what Practice Sets is and why it's particularly useful within your classrooms. So particularly when you're just creating a normal assignment in Google Classroom, if you have the Teaching and Learning Upgrade applied to your account, then you will also see some additional features that will show up, such as some of the ones that are on here. So we see here that normally you might just have Drive, Create, or Upload, but we've got a few extras here. We've got YouTube, we've got Practice Sets, and we've got Read Along. So we'll have a look at those three this afternoon. So if I was just to create a Practice Sets assignment, I can just simply click on Practice Sets, and it takes me into our Practice Sets page. So when I'm assigning a practice set, I can just use a previous practice set that I've already set up. We can see here that I've got 2 examples here, or we can just go to create a new practice set. But for today, I'm going to be lazy, and I am going to use a practice set that I've already created, just so I can show you roughly what it looks like. Now, if you've ever used Google Forms for quick quizzes or assessments, then a lot of the format of this will be similar. But what you won't have in Google Forms is the advanced AI and adaptive learning, machine learning tools that are built into practice sets. So here we have our practice set. We see a set of questions, and I'll show you what it looks like when we go in and we edit and we create our practice sets. And then we can start to see where some of those machine learning tools come into play. So sample question here, garden wall being length of 9 meters, width of 7 meters. How much area will there be to plant in the garden? Fairly straightforward. So then as an educator, what we would do is we would put in the answer in here. At the moment, we're having to put those in ourselves, but very soon AI is going to be able to populate those answers for us automatically. But for now, we're putting the answers in. When we've done that, what Google will do is it will have a look at the question that we've written, and it will suggest what the learning skill might be for that particular question that we've assigned. So it's correctly guessed, and I've confirmed previously that we are looking to calculate the area of a rectangle. Then what Google does is it brings in automatically, without any help from me whatsoever, these additional resources. So we can see that there's a battle card that's been dropped into here, a YouTube video and another YouTube video on particularly how to solve this particular area of a rectangle. Likewise, again, the next question, we've got the question here, a word question around maths. We've put the answer in again, and again, Google suggested and was correct, and I confirmed that the thought here is to solve whole number multiplication and division word problems, and then Google then brings in those additional resources. So that's really, really nice. The good thing about adding questions, we can write them from scratch, or we can actually import them. I've got a lot of questions here. I've got to go right down to the bottom. So we can say here that we can just create a new question, or we can import additional questions if we want to. So here, it'll go into my Drive. We can automatically import things from a Google form really, really easily. Or if we've got PDFs or things that we've used previously, it's really easy for us to just quickly grab some information from here. So I'll show you that. I've got a middle school set of equations here. I'm going to import my questions. It brings up the PDF, and literally all I need to do is snip there, snip there, snip there, and so on. So then I can import these particular questions into my practice set. So then what I would do is I would work out what my answers are. I'm not going to work them out because I'm not very good at algebra. But we could just put our questions in. I'm just going to put any old answer in. But then what will happen is it will come up in a moment and suggest. There we go. So it'll see it's suggesting what the skill is. So we can see there that it's suggested solve equations with the variables on both sides. So you'll see that I didn't put that in. So I'll just click that as being correct. And then automatically we can see that those resources have been added. We can also add in an additional resource ourselves if we have a particular battle card or particular YouTube video that we like. So that's how you go and edit them. So let's have a look at what it then looks like for a student. So when we open our practice sets in student view, so here is we see the work that's going that we can see the format here that the students will see. We also see here that if we want, we can also open a maths keyboard if we wanted to do, if it was a maths question. It doesn't have to be maths, by the way, science, English, lots of other ones. But we can open a maths keyboard there as well if we wanted. So we've got the question. I'm going to put the answer in. We can also show our work here. So if I've got my stylus out, then I could, start to show my work out in this space as well, which is really useful for the teacher. I put my answer in, and then I'm going to check my answer. And I get a nice green tick. We're correct. So this one, you'll notice here there is a light bulb here. So if I am stuck on this particular question, I could just go straight and click on the light bulb. But what I could do is I could just have a go at the question if I wanted to. So I could try putting the answer into my practice set. Got it wrong, and then we start to see that this light bulb lights up. So then I press on that, and then it gives me the battle card that we have there. So okay, I've had a look at that, had another think about it, and then I'm going to check my answer again. Still wrong. So then it goes to the YouTube video that was set up for us, and then eventually we will try again, and we'll get our correct answer. So we get the idea. So what's happening is students are able to be supported and scaffolded as they go through a particular series of questions. So if they're struggling, they don't need to be nervous about putting their hand up, asking teacher for support. Or if you've got some students that are just going slower than the others, they can work through it at their own pace. The good thing for you as teachers is that you never lose visibility. I'm just going to discard this draft here. You never lose visibility of the learning journey of your students. So here's a practice set that was partially completed previously. So when you've assigned the work and the practice set has been completed, we can then go in and review the learning progress that our students have made. So we can see here that this student just got all the answers wrong. We can see here more commonly that you've got a mix of answers here. You'll see that the dark tick here means that they got the answer correct on their first try. The light tick means that they needed 2 or more attempts to get it right, and then the cross means that they still got it wrong. And if we wanted to, we could click on an individual student, and then we could have a look at what their path looked like. So we can see they got that one right first time, and then we can click in and see what their attempts were on that particular question. So even though they're being supported by these machine learning resources that have been brought in by Google, you don't ever lose visibility of what's happening and how your children are understanding a particular topic. So that's practice sets. I think it's a really, really powerful and useful feature particularly for knowledge and assessment in that way. So let's have a look at another one. It has some similarities to practice sets, but this time we're going to do an assignment and we're going to select YouTube. So this is now a tool where we're able to select interactive YouTube questions. So I will can either search for a new video, or we can click on our previous videos that we've done. Again, I'm going to be lazy and I'm going to select one that I've already in a good Blue Peter style prepared earlier. So we see here we've got a topic on photosynthesis, and what we've got here is the ability to add questions at multiple waypoints during the video. They don't have to be multiple choice; they can be open-ended, they can be checkboxes, and things like that. So this particular one, as we see, is on photosynthesis. Interestingly enough, you'll see that I haven't actually entered any of these questions at all. This has actually been added via AI. We can see it says this suggested question was auto-generated based on video captions. So Google's already done a lot of the heavy lifting for me on this particular video. So they've added the question, they've also added the right answer, and also some possible incorrect wrong answers as well. And we can see that's gone all the way through. So, but of course we can add our own questions, which I think I did that one there actually, about what is ATP. So there we go. So then when we try it as a student, I don't think I've shared my sound with you while I've been sharing my screen, so I don't think you need to hear it. But if I just skip to just before the first question, well, we got to 56 seconds. It pauses, it asks me the question, I answer the question, submit my answer, got the answer right, fantastic, and then I carry on with the video. As we get to each particular question, it will just stop and it will ask us the question, for instance. So a really good way of making sure that your children have understood a particular topic. And also you'll notice when I went into that video, there was no adverts at the beginning, no suggested pop-ups. So what Google does is it strips all of that out, so you get a really, really clean YouTube experience when you're using that particular tool. In a similar way to practice sets, you still get all of the insight that you need as a teacher. So here's a previous one that I have completed. And again, we'll see where they got it right first time with a dark green tick, or whether they needed a few goes, or whether they still continue to get it wrong after that particular amount of time. And we still get to see all of those attempts and all of those tries. So that's interactive YouTube questions. Again, I think that's really, really powerful. So you get both of those features from the teaching and learning upgrade. You also get some other things as well in the teaching and learning upgrade. So in particular, we've got here something called classroom add-ons. So you could run a Kahoot, particularly from directly within your Google Classroom without having to go outside of the walled garden. You could use Pear Deck, you can use Nearpod, you can use Adobe Express, all directly within your Google Classroom by assigning it from as part of an assignment. So it's just a nice way of keeping students in the place that you want them to be. Another thing for high school, I don't know whether we've got any high school students on the call today.
We do,
but
yeah.
We do, fantastic. Yeah. So the other thing that you get with a Teach and Learn upgrade is the ability to run unlimited what they call originality reports. So this is Google's anti-plagiarism tool. So when we're setting an assignment, we can just tick the check plagiarism box at the bottom, and then what it'll do is it will check the students' work, whether they've cited their work correctly and provided their references. It won't only just check against the internet, but it will also check against other work that's gone on within the school domain. So you'll be able to see whether little Jack has copied from little Johnny, for instance, who are in equivalent classes. So that's really quite nice, because it will check the internet, but also within the domain. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to lock that down within Hub, so that it will be checked within your school. The question I always get here now, so I'm presuming you're thinking it in your heads, is can it check for AI submitted responses? And the answer is not yet, no. But then again, no other tool can effectively do it either. Some claim that they can, but they're very, very inaccurate, and you get a lot of false positives, because it just really checks the style of language. So at the moment, we haven't got that, but as that technology progresses, maybe we will. So that's originality reports and also classroom add-ons. So those are really, really useful features, starting to bring machine learning, artificial intelligence into the classroom. So I'll move on to Gemini, onto artificial intelligence, and if that's okay. Unless
Simon, were you gonna show read aloud as well?
I can do, yeah. Let me stop my screen and then share my sound as well. We'll do read along as well then.
I was thinking.
Yeah, so let me share window or tab, entire screen, share system audio, click it this time. There we go. Okay, so another AI tool within Classroom is, as Sean has mentioned, is something called Read Along. So we can see it listed here. And I don't know what your classrooms are like, but a lot of teachers that I speak with, they struggle to get around all of their children with their guided reading. There's just not enough hours in the day to listen to all of their children read as regularly as they would like to. So Read Along helps support the teacher in that process by using artificial intelligence or AI to assist with guided reading. Obviously, this will not replace the teacher, but where a teacher is struggling to get around, it can complement what the teacher is doing. So we could select Read Along here, and it will just open up our Read Along app within Classroom, and we can assign particular stories out to our students within Google Classroom. It's just having to think about opening, but when it's opened, we'll have a look. There we go. So we'll just close down there. So in here, we've got multiple stories that we could choose from. We have something here called a Lexile measure, which is how complicated the words are within our story, or we can choose an American grade level here. It's not, unfortunately, it's set up with American grades, not UK at the minute, but we can quite easily cross-reference what the age groups are on that. So I'm going to choose something for a grade 5, and then that filters down our stories that we have here. What do we fancy doing? Let's choose Why Can't We Glow Like Fireflies? Okay, let's go with that story. So then what that's going to do, it's going to open the story and we can preview it. And we'll see here that at the top, we can either choose to attach this story or we can even try it out in Student View. So we'll try it out in Student View at the moment. And then it's going to open a new page and we're going to have our story launched. It's going to ask me to enable my microphone because I'm in an incognito window, I believe, but let's try. Start reading.
Let's continue reading. Why can't we glow like fireflies?
Is the sound coming over, Sean? Yeah. So imagine a dark moon. There we go. Knew it was going to ask me. There we go. Imagine a dark moonless night. Hello. Oh, here we go. It took a while for the microphone to kick in. Imagine a dark moonless night when you have gone camping with your classmates and you lose.
Read this out loud.
I don't think it's on.
When?
I don't think it's hearing me. Let me just choose. So I've got access to my microphone. Yeah.
You.
Okay. You. Where are we? What would you do? Will you not try contacting your friends by flashing your torchlight? Oh, it's working now.
Well done. You got that.
So we go on to the next page. Well, fireflies, or, and if I just pause there because I don't know the word, it'll wait for me. It's listening to see if I know the word.
To get reading help, tap the word.
It'll tell me to tap the word.
Lightning.
Lightning bugs, as they are sometimes called, do the same. I'll pause again. And she's waiting for me.
Read this out loud. Except
that they have an unlimited. So we get that support as we go along if the children get stuck. The other thing that you get with I'm just going to close that down, love. Thank you very much. So the other thing that you get with Read Along is you get a really nice, I'm trying to see if it does it on the first page, it shows me what it looks like, but you get a nice report by each child about how they're, I'm just trying to see if it shows me a, no it doesn't, but you get a nice graph and it shows you how a child's reading is progressing as they're going through common words in your class that a lot of children are struggling with, and things along those lines. So they get supported, and then again, you as a teacher, you always get the insights.
Simon, sorry.
Yeah.
We've just had a question through in the chat. Is it able to do that inside of a worksheet that we assign to the pupils?
It's not. No, it's the specific stories that are in here that you can do it with. So it's they're curated stories that are already built into the app, and you choose from those, and then it will listen to them read those particular stories. Hope that answers the question. But a useful tool nonetheless. And again, that's part of the teaching and learning upgrade as well. It's been in beta for a long period. I don't know whether it's still in beta or whether it's made it to alpha yet, but if it's not there in your classroom immediately, it's coming in coming weeks. Okay, so I think those are the main classroom features that we wanted to have a look at. Let's have a look at some other AI features. Who's heard of Gemini AI? I'll presume that you're all answering rhetorically, but yeah, so Gemini, Google on this call or listening to this call, are they? But I would say if you're familiar with ChatGPT, this is Google's version of ChatGPT, but they've made it different and more suitable for it to be embedded across Google Workspace. So you can get to Gemini just by going to gemini.google.com. So gemini.google.com is the free version of generative AI for Google. At the moment, actually, for the next 2 days, there's not been data protection been built into this. So if you use this, we would never recommend previously putting in any school data or sensitive information into it, because it used to be governed by consumer terms and conditions, and human reviewers would also look at what was going into Gemini. However, as of the 23rd of May, they are now building in data protection into the free version of Gemini, meaning that you can use it in your school and not be concerned that the data is going anywhere else. It's not going off to train any large language models or things like that at all. But Gemini is our collaborative thought partner for when we are trying to come up with work ideas. So a good example would be we are a school administrator and we have had something that we need to communicate to parents. So let's think of a prompt here. Create a letter to parents from the school about an outbreak of head lice in the school. Please include some links to NHS resources. So historically, it would take us quite a while to write a letter in such a way, but we can see here that Gemini is very, very helpfully creating that letter for us, so that we just need to then make any final edits or things that we're not too happy with. So we can see here, pretty good letter. We've identified a few cases of head lice at the school name. Some suggestions here is to check your child's hair, and then we've also then got that link to the NHS website as well, which is quite a nice little addition. If we didn't like this particular draft, we can also press on here to show drafts, and it gives us 3 options of drafts as well. Although, there we go, it's going a bit slow today for some reason. So if we didn't like that one, we could have a look at draft number 2, and we could go through that one and see if we like that one better, or we could go with draft number 3. So that's really quite helpful. This is completely free to do this, so we would encourage you to use this. And the beauty of it, as we say, is in a couple of days' time, it's all governed by data protection. If we're ready with one of these letters, what we can do is we can then share and export it. So we could create a draft in Gmail if we were using Gmail, or in your case, since Gmail's not in Hub, it would be more commonly to export to Docs. So then you could export that to a Google Doc, or of course, what you could just do is copy and paste it in a more traditional sense. In fact, there's an even easier way to copy and paste it. We can just do the 3 dots and press copy. We can also rate it as well. The other thing that we can do, we can also upload images into Gemini. So if we wanted to ask a prompt about a particular image, then we could do that. Come up with a lesson plan around this sort of problem or this particular aspect. So that's available within Gemini.
Simon, well. Sorry, we've got a hand up there from Matt. Matt, do you want to jump in there?
Hi, yeah, it's just a quick question about the data protection, because I've sort of been telling everybody not to upload data, but so we're fine now to upload like sensitive data with like pupil names in it and things like that. It's all now protected, yeah.
So it comes. If you want, what I'll do is I'll jump to a slide in a minute, which talks about the data protection aspect. But what I can tell you is, yes, it is data protected, and nothing goes back to base, and nothing goes off to train any particular large language models. There is also an extra layer of protection you get by going for one of the paid for editions, because then that also becomes part of your Google Workspace for Education terms of service. So while everything is completely data protected, yes, you could use this for sensitive data. I'll caveat it by saying that there is also an increased level of protection by going for one of the paid for editions of Gemini Workspace as well.
Okay, cool. I was just wondering about like uploading class sets of data and asking it to analyze them and things like that. So it is safe to do that now, by the sounds of it.
It is safe to do that now. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so I will hang on. Let me just quickly jump to a slide here I've got in front of me. I'm just trying to find the right slide. Hang on a minute. Nearly there. Thanks. Because this is a really important topic. So my system is on a real go slow because I'm sharing screens and I've got a gazillion tabs open. So Apologies for my slowness. So let me just quickly share this slide here. So I'll stop sharing there and I will just share over here. I'll just share entire screen there. Okay. So as I say, so hopefully that's showing or it's coming up anyway.
Yeah.
But what we can see is you get access with the free version to Gemini 1.0 Pro, which is a very, very capable model and is the best for most ranges of tasks. But as I say, yeah, the new data protection that's coming in, it will not be reviewed by anyone to improve AI models, used to train AI models, or shared with any other users or institutions. So yeah, you are safe to put up into Gemini, whatever you want to do, and work with it across Pro. You are safe to do so because that data protection, as I say, is coming on May 23rd.
That's great. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem at all. So what I will show you now is, so that's Gemini free. There are also additional paid for editions of Gemini for Workspace. So let me just quickly share another slide there, just to give you an overview before I dive into a demo. So there we go. So we can see here we've got the Gemini chat experience, which is what we've just talked about, gemini.google.com, which is the free version using Gemini's 1.0 Pro model. And we can see that the added data protection is come in, and it's available in 40+ languages. So this can be enabled for users over the age of 18. So we can't enable this for students, but it's designed to be used for users over the age of 18. So basically staff, or if you're in higher education, then higher education students as well. We also then now have, which has just launched literally Friday, Gemini for Google Workspace Education editions. So we've got the ability to use Gemini across all of our Google Workspace apps. We still get to use gemini.google.com, but it also then uses the Ultra model. So you get a better large language model to use it with, but also we have it embedded across all of our workspace applications, which I'll show you examples of that just in a moment. And then we also get that enterprise grade data protection because it's governed by your Google Workspace for Education terms of service, which means that you get all of those assurances that are built in with all of your other Google Workspace tools that you're using. And again, these tools are for users over the age of 18. So I'm going to go back to my original screen that I'm sharing, and I'm going to show you what this looks like across our Google Workspace environment. So I'm going to create a brand new Google Doc in here. Don't know if you know that shortcut, by the way, docs.new. If you ever want to just start up a blank document on the fly, type into the address bar docs.new, and then that will give you a brand new Google Doc. So you'll see here with a Gemini for Education license applied, I've got this really helpful feature here of Help Me Write. So I can just click on here and we can just build our prompt into here. So I could say create a lesson plan for Year 5 UK students. This is a literacy lesson all about subordinate clauses. Please include some sample sentences and some questions for assessment. So we can put that prompt straight into our Google Doc, and it will come up with our response. Excuse me, get rid of that. So here we can start to have a look at our lesson plan that it's created. It gives us our objectives, our materials, the procedure, what the assessment could be, some sample sentences. So if I like this, I can insert this. What I can also do, if I could have done it from the previous page as well, that if I wanted to make a change to any of this, I've got this button here, so I can change the tone of it. So if we are writing a letter, we could make it more formal, more casual. I could ask it to summarize a piece of text for us. So if there's a particularly long document that we don't want to read all, we just want the main points, I could ask it to bulletize this piece of work. It's already pretty bulletized, or elaborate, shorten, rephrase it if we wanted to have another go with another prompt. We can also add a custom aspect here as well, so make it a poem, or if we wanted to theme a lesson, could we throw a slide about Taylor Swift or Beyonce about this particular lesson to keep our students engaged. So really quite nice that we can do that all directly within a Google Doc, rather than having to then run it externally and post it into our Google Docs. And then we can use it, if we've got existing Google Docs, we can use it to help us with editing and improving our Google Docs by using the tools in that way. So I found a really good usage of this for educators is that if you've got a lesson and you're working on a lesson plan, but you've got some students maybe that just aren't getting it. Maybe they're more of a visual thinker, or they're thinking about it in a slightly different way. On the fly, it's really powerful to ask Gemini to come up with a differentiated piece of work for someone who may be more of a visual thinker, and it quite easily take a topic and come up with a separate assignment or a separate piece of work that they can complete to do that. So rather than you having to think about all of these things all of the time, Gemini can effectively be there as your thought partner in helping you come up with these additional needs. So that's Google Docs. We can also use it in Google Sheets. So if we just spin up a new sheet, use that handy shortcut there, sheets.new. So in here, we've got our Gemini button here, which is entitled Help Me Organize. And this can really help us to come up with a really nicely formatted sheet. So what can we do? Okay, so create an agenda for staff training day based all around, can't spell, Google Workspace for education. Please include a slot to also cover Gemini AI. So for me to format a sheet, put all of the things in manually, I don't know about you, I'm really slow at that kind of stuff. But we can see here that Gemini has really just formatted and put all of that in straight away. So we can see automatically the time savings that's gone in there. And then what we could do is we could just adjust this as we need to. But it's come up with all of the timings and things like that and everything, which is absolutely brilliant. So really handy, just being able to expedite and come up with those things. If we've got existing data, then it can help us to put things into table format. It can help us to do conditional formatting. It can also help us soon to convert data into a pivot table, things like that. So we're seeing how it can just be our assistant. So you'll need to remember formulas for spreadsheets. Very soon going to be a complete distant thing of the past, because we can just ask Gemini how to do these things for us, or rather than us having to go out and Google how to do something. Finally, we'll have a look at slides. So again, I'm just going to fire up a blank slide and there's a really nice feature baked into Google Slides, which I can just press here, this button of create image with Gemini. So we could say, what should we create? What should we create a picture of, Sean? You're on mute.
Oh goodness, now you put me on the spot. How about a dancing cat?
A dancing cat.
In the moonlight,
yeah,
or something along those lines?
Yeah, at night. I don't know. I've never, this could go very badly wrong, couldn't it? But let's just go and see what comes up. I'm really hoping it doesn't flake out on me. There we go. A dancing cat at night wearing a sombrero. We can also change ad styles here as well. So if we wanted it to be a photography style, we can even make a cyberpunk style. I don't think we have many cyberpunk cats wearing sombreros. So if we just go with photography, and then that should come up with something, as I say, usually takes about 20 seconds. So there we go. Quite nice. That's a nice one, isn't it? So we've got our image there. So effectively saves you having to go out and try and Google the specific images that you want. If you can think of something, in effect, you could come up with a prompt for it. The good thing about these is that you own the copyright on all of these images that have been created, because you created it with the help of Gemini. You own that image, so you don't need to worry about any extra copyright issues, or do you have the rights to use this particular product. So it's quite nice, and quite some extra features. So I'm just going to round off with just two final slides on Gemini, because I've just now found a slide that I was really looking for earlier around data protection, and then I'll also talk to you about just what the costs are for the paid for editions, so that you know what you've got there. So it's a nice little flow diagram, or nice little graph here, which really summarizes what the individual terms of service are for the editions of Gemini. So we can see that data protection is built in, not used to train AI models, not reviewed by anybody, not shared with other organizations. We see with the versions that are with Workspace, Gemini for Education paid for editions, we get that also extra settings, such as being able to lock your data into specific data regions and things like that. And the terms of service that are governed by them, we can see that the paid for editions are governed simply by your Workspace for Education terms of service. But we can see we've got the Google terms of service and the generative AI additional terms of service, as well as Gemini Apps privacy notice. So you are more than welcome to read those terms of service at night time if you wanted to do so. In terms of costing, so there's two flavors that work across your Google Workspace for Education. There's Gemini Education, which works across Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Meet. And as I say, it got access to the latest model. But there's also Gemini Education Premium, which gives you unlimited use, but you also get some advanced Google Meet functionality, which blow my mind, these two features. So in Google Meet with Premium, it will be able to take all of your notes for you in a Google Meet that you're in. So it'll summarize the entire Meet call and give you all of the action points and things like that. And then the one that completely blows me away is that very soon Gemini will be able to attend a meeting on your behalf, meaning that you can preload it with questions, but it will give you a really nice summary of the meeting and come away with all of the action points if you're unable to attend a meeting for that particular reason. So those are the differences. Looking at £16.80 per month based on an annual commit per user for Gemini Education, and £25.20 per month on a 1-year commit for Premium. So that's £200 a year, or or £300 a year. There is actually an introductory discount of 20% if schools want to take this up before August 23rd. So you'd get a further 20% off those prices if anyone wanted to be an early adopter. I think that summarises pretty
Can you
much
share the
everything I
teaching and
had.
learning license as well, please, Simon?
Yeah, so
And
the
just
teaching
clear
and
up
learning.
the pupils don't need it, just the teachers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the teaching and learning upgrade for those other features, practice sets, and some of the practice sets, interactive YouTube questions, read along, classroom add-ons, and unlimited originality reports. You need to buy just an individual teaching and learning upgrade license for those. There's 2 windows that you can order those in line with the same time that you can order your Adobe licenses. It's June and October, I think, are the 2 windows where you can order those licenses. The cost is around £33 per license per year. And so the only person that needs to be licensed to have those features is the teacher of that classroom. So if you want, so you as the teacher, you would have that license. No students need to be licensed, but then you can then assign out those things and have all of those insights and those extra tools that are available to you via that. So that's the teaching and learning upgrade. I'll say order window coming up next month for that in June. So by all means, have a word with your local authority that is able to process those orders on your behalf.
I think to that point, Simon, I'd have to double check, but I think you can use your EdTech funding to purchase those licenses as well. I think they're part of the EdTech catalogue, or not. They
are part of the EdTech catalogue, but I don't believe that you can use your Welsh Government funding to buy them unless they've changed that this year. That was
I will clarify with everyone.
If you could clarify, that would be absolutely lovely.
Thanks, Matt.
Get told after the fact. So then finally, please get in contact. Team@gtecheducation.com if you want to reach out to me and the team, or if you want to download the cheat sheet for Gemini Education, there's a QR code there on the screen. Feel free to scan it. That'll take you to, and you can download our cheat sheet on all things Gemini anyway. But if you want any more information on anything Google, reach out to us at the team address.
Fabulous. Simon, thank you so much for that. So many things to kind of look at there, and things that are blowing your mind in terms of, that point on formulas and stuff is something that's within our curriculum at the moment, but in years to come it will be can you do this for me, and it will just do it for you. So a huge amount of information in there. Lots of things for schools to consider, particularly around the teaching and learning upgrade. Like I said, it's 1 license per teacher. So, it could be an investment that you look into in terms of supporting that, more effective use of Google Classroom, integration with those other apps, the ability to do some of those assignments and assessments, the read along tools as well. So a huge amount of things there for you to consider. Simon's information is there on the screen, as you can see. So if you do need anything further clarified, you're welcome to contact Simon, or you can always come through me and I can bring a set of questions to Simon that I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer.